So in this video, I'm going to be telling you about my job. As you can see from this, I work as a van driver for my technical job title is collection officer, which I always thought is a very fancy and grandiose way of saying postman. Basically what I do is I visit, I think, around 25 different trading firms in a route over the course of a couple of hours. I collect all the mail that they have for me, and then I bring it back to the sorting office. And then once that is done, I sort all the mail and put each parcel, each letter, things like that, in its proper place, in its proper York, which is in turn sent via trucks or lorries over to the storage depot over at, I think in... I've been working this job since December of last year. Now, I know this is mainly going to be me sort of complaining, but I'll start with the positives of this job. First of all, the pay is good. It's better than anything I've had up until now. Throughout my 20s, mainly what I did was I worked minimum wage jobs in catering and customer service, things like that. I worked here as a barista, there as a bartender, a food busser, and a front desk clerk for for tourist resorts. All of it was run-of-the-mill wagey jobs. Not exactly glamorous, but in my position back then and even now, I just didn't have the skill set or the ambition to get jobs that were more technical, jobs that things like corporate jobs. And I don't really think I can see myself working a corporate job, at least not currently, even though I graduated with a degree in classics back in 2016. For whatever reason, the corporate job market is highly competitive, and I just found that I could never manage it. And really, I don't see my work life as an extension of my ego. Well, I never did. Basically, for me, working has always been a means to an end. I don't really take pride in my job. All that matters to me is that I earn enough money to make ends meet, to buy the nice things that I want in life, food and drinks, and have a bit of fun and things like that, and to pay basic living expenses. And to an extent, this job does allow me to do that. I work, I think I get paid £12.50 an hour, which, I mean, it's not as much as it would have been before the pandemic and inflation, but wages are probably going to rise in accordance with the inflation anyway, so I guess that there's that to look forward to. And there are pay bonuses. I've received 2 pay bonuses simply for no other reason than the fact that I stayed and continued to be an employee here for many months. I think I received my first bonus after working 3 months, and I got another bonus working 6. Now that's pretty special. Most jobs don't offer anything like that. You'd be hard-pressed to find... I wonder why there's such a high turnover rate with all these barista jobs, all these jobs in retail. They don't really reward employee loyalty and longevity, and they don't really invest in their employees like that. And then also there's the matter of overtime pay. And yes, so the way overtime pay works with my company is that you are contracted to work a certain amount of hours each week. In my case, it's 20 hours a week. I'm a part-timer. And if you work any hour above that, then the amount of overtime pay you work is basically an hour's pay times 1.25. So I work these optional overtime shifts on Saturdays, which are usually, I think, 4 hours. Sometimes it's 3 hours. So I make 1.25 times the amount of pay that I would normally make if I were working my usual contracted hours. So that's pretty good. Overtime pay is certainly not a benefit I ever enjoyed with any of my previous jobs. And then there's the fact that unlike jobs where you're working a 0 hours contract or you're working a gig, you're guaranteed. You are allocated shifts throughout the week and you're expected to come in at a certain time. So there's that. There's job security. Many jobs I've had in the past didn't have that. You'd be notified, I think, a week or 2 weeks ahead of time what shifts you'd be asked to come in. It's very, very informal, but here you have it in writing. So in a nutshell, those are all the benefits about my job. There's job security, guaranteed hours, there's overtime pay, there's bonuses. I think there are certain conditions, there's certain stipulations in place though. You have to have you can't have ever had a day off sick, I think. Those certain conditions need to be met if you're eligible for the bonus. There's also paid leave, but then many jobs I've had, I think, have had a similar scheme. I used to work for McDonald's a while back, and they had paid leave. They had paid leave. So that about does it for the positives. Now, the negatives, why I feel uneasy about this job is that currently I feel just hemmed in. See, I am of a very particular personality type where I prefer to have all of my working hours and all of my shifts allocated to a certain time in the day and certain days throughout the week. The way I would rather it be done is that I would work more hours and fewer shifts, if that makes sense. So ideally, if I had my way, I would be working, say, 8 to 10 hours, maybe 12, depending on what's available and how much fire and motivation I have to finish the job. On days like, say, Monday to Wednesday or Thursday, and then the rest of the week, I could rest on my laurels and take time out. But sadly, the rigidity, the inflexibility of my contract means that I can't break away. I can't do that. All of my shifts are 4 hours and they all take place at the same time each day. So my shift usually starts at 3:15 and it ends 4 hours later at 7:15. And most people would look at this and think, wow, you work only 4-hour shifts. You work 20 hours a week. That's nothing. Like, aren't you privileged? And I think words like privilege, well, it's really hard to say. Are you privileged or are you unlucky? Sometimes you can't look at the objective, you can't look at objective things like how many hours one works or how much pay one makes and make an informed decision as to whether you are genuinely happy with your job, because we all want different things. Some people want to work more hours. Some people are workaholics, and that's okay. Other people are less concerned with how many hours they work and want to get more of a work-life balance. And I would say I fall more into the latter. But the problem is, I don't know if this is a symptom that's associated with ADHD or OCD, but I feel like if I get out of bed on the morning of a day where I'm due to come into work at 3 o'clock, I feel under pressure. I feel like I can't really relax and unwind and be my real self on that day because work is going to be on my mind. I'm too preoccupied with the fact that I need to go to work in X amount of hours. And the effect that this has on me is that it makes me quite lazy. I feel like if I get out of bed in the morning, I'm really tired and works in a few hours, what I usually do is just go back to sleep, and I don't leave bed until I absolutely have to. To be fair though, I am like that on days where I'm not asked to come into work. That much is true. But it's the fact that I feel mentally I'm trapped in a prison of expectations where I'm due to spend X amount of hours working, and I can't put those hours to good use elsewhere, investing in other things, in other hobbies that I would like to spend my leisure time on. I know I can't be the only one who thinks like this. I think there's actually a term for it. I think it's called waiting mode or standby mode. That's the term I'd use to describe it. Standby mode. You know, where a television has that little red light, which means it's neither on nor off. It's technically, the light is on, but but it's on usually in anticipation of the fact that you're about to use it. So a lot of the time I feel like I'm in standby mode. Now, there have been times where I've wanted to change my contract, where I've spoken to my managers and asked them, do you think it's possible maybe I could work a different contract, one where I work more hours but fewer days? And each time I did, my manager said the same thing. You need to work a certain amount of shifts, or you need to work at least a year before you're able to do that. I don't think that's right. I think you should be able to change and modify the hours of your contract if you want. As an employee, you should get a say in how many hours you work and what days throughout the weeks those shifts should be. It could be the key to unlocking your the potential to your productivity. The relationship between employee and employer should be give and take. It should be quid pro quo. And there should be room for an agreement of some kind. But that kind of flexibility, weirdly, I feel like it existed more in my previous jobs, my previous shitty minimum wage retail jobs, but it doesn't really exist here because my hours, my contracts, they're in writing. I am actually going to I do plan to speak to my general manager about this, and I'll wait until I hear what he has to say first. But I'm not positive that will change anytime soon. Now, the second problem I have is time off. I feel like the only time off that's allocated, that's tolerated here, is paid leave. There's a system, there's a procedure you need to go through in order to get paid leave. It's quite formalized. There's an app on the PDA machine. Let me show you. I've got it here. Oh, no. It's behind the camera. I'm using it as a prop to keep the camera in place. But no such procedure like that exists for unpaid leave. I don't even know if unpaid leave is possible, though maybe I should look into that. Maybe I should speak to the manager or the general manager and see what he has to say, because I don't believe the rules on that are quite clear. And actually, that's all nearly it. An even bigger issue is that currently it is October. We're running into the Christmas period. We're a few months away from December, but we are getting close, and my shifts are becoming a little more demanding in the fact that I'm collecting more mail from boxes. We're sorting more mail at the sorting office. And as a result, I did once try to book time off, to book paid leave at a certain point, because I felt like it. And the general rule is, as long as you have over a week's notice, you should be able to. But my request was denied. I wasn't given a reason, but when I spoke to the manager, when I spoke to my shift manager, he told me basically that we're just too busy. Now, I don't think that's right. You should be given realistic expectations as to what you're allowed to do with your paid leave. Now, I knew from the beginning that asking for paid leave during the month of December, during the Christmas holidays, obviously that's a no-go, because that is crunch time. That's when they need all hands on deck. But we're not even at November yet. And I never knew that that they don't want you to book time off during the month of October. And as a result, I feel hemmed in. I can't take time off unless I do, unless I suddenly, inconveniently discover that I'm ill on one morning and that I can't go into work, or pull a sickie, I guess. I don't recommend people do this. But otherwise, I can't really see much of a way out. And that really bothers me. Also, I don't know why I do this. I don't know what my problem is. But they offered overtime shifts, the optional overtime shifts that I was talking about earlier, the ones where you get paid more money. They are available when they're advertised. However, they're only available for a certain period of time. And they told me before I signed my name up to them that if you don't sign your name up to them, they're going to go fast. And psychologically, I felt put under pressure to sign up to them. Because you see, my financial situation isn't that good. I make £1,000, but I get to keep less than half of it. I'm aware that some people probably have it much worse. They probably get to keep less than a third of it. But money brings hope. It brings possibilities. And the fact that I get very little money, I have to spend half of it on things like rent and basic living expenses just to keep my head above water, just to visit the gym, because, my goodness, going to the gym, I can show you proof. I can show you the receipts if you don't believe me. It used to cost, way before the pandemic, it used to cost £28 a month to visit my local gym and leisure centre. Now it's more than double that. I think around double that. It's ridiculous, the amount of the increase, the hike in their prices. It makes me want to question whether it's actually worth going to the gym and exercising. But things like that, in addition to the fact that the prices of most goods and services have been increasing since the pandemic and the hyperinflation, the double-digit inflation, thanks to our good old former Prime Minister Rishi Sunak, who was Chancellor of the Exchequer. We got to print that money and make it more worthless. Weimar Republic UK. I remember when a pint of Guinness at my local pub used to be around £4. Now it's closer to £6. And this all happened in the span of a few years. That's a 33% price increase. So we're all feeling the pinch. I'm certainly feeling the pinch. And that's part of what motivated me to take on these optional overtime shifts. Because I'm torn a lot of the time between needing the time off and needing the money. And sometimes you're in a position where you're forced to pick between one or the other. None of this would be a problem if I could have my cake and eat it. I could work more hours in a shift, but I got to decide when those hours are. I would have it like this. I would work 10 hours or 12 hours Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and the rest of the week off. It sounds a bit pie in the sky. I don't know if there are any jobs out there that offer contracts like that, but it would be great. It would be just what I need. I'd make enough money to keep my head above the water, and I'd get so much more out of life knowing that I could contribute all my leisure time to doing things that I enjoy, things that are not work. But currently, I feel like I don't have that freedom. Now, I want to end this by saying this is not an attack on. There are lots of benefits to working for, and there are different contracts that do exist where you can work more hours, although I don't think you have as much of a say in when those hours are. Like I work specifically in collection. There are also delivery shifts where it's a lot more it's structured a lot more like the traditional 9 to 5. You work early morning hours to the afternoon, delivering to people's houses. Now those shifts, there's a lot more hours that you work, and I don't know if that's the kind of thing that I'd want to do, but I might look into it depending on what's expected of me and if I'm able to manage it. See, I want the balance. I want the perfect golden mean between working enough hours so that I can get the money I need to live the lifestyle that I want. Now, I'm a man of modest means. I don't spend my money lavishly on things like parties and traveling and stuff like that. But there are things in life that I like, which I can't have without money. And I want time to be at peace with myself and try new things. Is it too much to ask? I guess everyone wants those things to a greater or lesser extent. I don't care what people say. People might think that I'm whinging, that I'm whining. I'm not interested in what those people have to say. This is my reality. If a better opportunity, if a better position comes along where I can wean myself off and find a job that offers me more of the things that I want, you bet I'm going to take it. For now, this is the best thing I have. I guess I'll have to update you on how well I'm faring, on how much progress I'm making with getting to that ideal job. Anyway, this has been a discussion about me and my place of work. Let me know, you guys, what your job is like. Are you getting the things you need out of your job? Are you working to live or living to work? I'd be interested to find out more. See you guys later.